It is another episode of Amjambo Time. Thank you for all who help us to broadcast this unique program. I want to welcome our listeners in Maine and around the world. Here are our headline stories.
A conference named Principle 6 Conference, Reimagining Engagement, is set to happen in Augusta on April 6 to discuss the future of cooperatives. We have 5 pillars: butchery, a business born out of frustration of missing culture-appropriate meat.
And so coming to Maine, it's like coming to a food desert.
It's April next week, and it is the month Rwandans and Friends around the world commemorate the 1994 genocide against Tutsi. An event to raise awareness about genocide against Tutsi happened at Pihcintu College in Rwandans. As you approach the presidential election, different community organizations are debating on engaging immigrants to do their civic duties. We will hear more. In the arts, the famous Pihcintu Choir won the 2nd Annual Anthem Award for being an outstanding and effective example of work by a global organization or program that raises awareness for a cause in the realms of education, arts, and culture. Did you know that the founder has a challenge of busing kids to concerts? He is with us again. The details after the break.
This program is sponsored by Maine Humanities, offering Readers Retreat on April 6th in Orono, Scarborough, Lubec, and online. Join other readers from across Maine and 3 Indigenous writers and thinkers as they reflect on Tommy Orange's award-winning novel, They're There. Learn more at mainehumanities.org.
Welcome again to Amjambo Time. Jaha Kuzimana, I'm your host.
Professor Alexander Dodge, law of Pihcintu College, studies the tension between personal memory and collective trauma. He organized a symposium in connection with the anniversary of 1994 genocide against the Tutsi in Rwanda. And Ato Muhawenimana is a student in the class, and Amjambo's Ernest Ndaisaba and Jeremy Mucho spoke with her.
My name is Ato Muhawenimana. I am a student here at Pihcintu College, majoring in biochemistry. So I am happy that Amjambo Africa joined us today in celebration of Rwanda genocide, its 13th anniversary. And I am so happy that you joined us today. So French department here at school helped me, and also other organizations here in school helped me to organize this event. And I am so glad that it came into existence today. So we organized this together. We have this goal. We have this goal as Pihcintu community, just to make people to boost awareness about genocide here that happened in Rwanda. So we want all students to know about this massacre and how its effects afterwards. What were the effects of genocide and how it just took place, how it came into actions. So we collaborated together because we want people. It's a tragic inhuman activity that happened in Rwanda, and we want everyone here to know that it happened, what led to it, and how we can mitigate the effects it had afterwards. So we're working together, and we thank everyone who helped us put it into place, as we remember, as also unite, and also keep moving forward. We want everyone to be aware of that genocide happened, and we also want to be the voice of people who were impacted by the genocide. Also want them to be there for them, and also know that they're not alone in this journey. In this journey they're in of fighting the genocide, also fighting with the trauma they had afterwards. We want them to know that we are here for them, and also want to be the voice of advocacy here at Pihcintu, also, and at a broader scale in Maine and also other states as well here in the US.
What does it mean to you as generation after 1994? What does it mean to you to be part of the organizing team of this kind of event that helps people to heal from trauma? What does it mean to you as a young person, as you?
I am a youth and I am a young person. As you said, I was born after genocide, but I am honored to be in this place to also have organized this event. I feel confident and I believe that I'm contributing to a wide Rwandan society to fighting genocide and also the impact it had afterwards. So I believe that the thing we did, this event we organized together, is going to be of a very huge impact. A very huge impact here on campus and also off campus, and I believe also on a larger scale, like at also different schools, also different schools, and also like different states in here in the US. So we did this for the main purpose, I can say, for the advocacy, but also advocacy and awareness. But also we are putting into consideration people who had trauma during the genocide, and also the intergenerational trauma that goes into generations afterwards. We want to diminish that trauma as we are remembering, and also being around, putting those people who had trauma, who also have intergenerational trauma, into comfort, recognizing them and making them like feel like they're acknowledged and also known, they're valued, and everything. That's pretty much what I can say.
Between the parents and the kids for that trauma, how can you suggest message or activity they can be done to avoid that trauma?
Yeah, I can say we need regular visits to those families who have trauma, also have parents whose parents have like trauma, and that trauma that keeps circulating into their kids. We need regular visits to those families. We want people who can take that initiative to visit them, make them they're in a good place, just talk to them, like tell them how they can treat their kids. Like, you know, that's a huge thing you're fighting against as Rwandans, but also we want them to treat their kids in a good way. We don't want their kids to be traumatized, and you know, just that can have side effects as well. So we want regular visits, and also want we want activities of kindness. We want activities of kindness to show those people they're not alone. They're not being against. They're seen and valued. So we want also those activities of kindness that are gonna help people just know that people they still have humanity. They're not inhuman. We want them to believe in kindness and also in how good a person can be. We need those regular visitors. We need those regular visits to them, and we also need the acts of kindness towards them. Let's show them that we as people, as Rwandans, also as a larger community, that we value them and we acknowledge them.
As we approach the presidential election, a community conversation is going on how to engage immigrants to do their civic duties. Listen to Rez Remington of Maine Voices Network, exchanging with Pihcintu on engaging people to vote.
So we spoke a lot about civic engagement, and civic engagement is almost like an everyday thing. How does someone continue to be civically engaged? So by the time voting season does happen, we're not doing this rush of information to folks that might be extremely daunting. And secondly, we spoke a lot about the youth, but how do we engage more of the elderly population who might be new to voting? I've had some strong, enthusiastic 80-year-olds in my office, and they want to be invigorated as a part of this voting conversation. So how do we do that as well?
In terms of the older people, I think we can use and I'm talking through the lens of my daytime job, which is Portland Empowered. That house party that I talk about, we can use the same thing to engage people. When Janet Mills was running for governor during the primary, the public conversation model that I call Share Space Cafe, we organized one at East End Elementary School, where we invited all the gubernatorial candidates, and people were excited because most of the immigrants, or some of the immigrants who are here back home, they don't get to participate directly into the political thing, like up close, the way it is done here. As you know, it is done differently, right? There's more fanfare. When a candidate is coming, there's drumming, there is all sort of things in the neighborhoods, and people show up. It is different here. We don't do the drumming, but we do get excited and we get people out. We work with community leaders, we work with the mosque, we share flyers that are translated into languages. We use people in the community who are credible messengers. They will call people in their own language. The East End Elementary School was filled. Actually, some of the candidates did say to us that this is the most exciting forum that they've been to, because the candidates were going around from one table to the other, and the individuals were sitting there. So there was no panel and then everyone else. Everyone else was sitting at the same table, and then somebody will say, time up. And then the candidates will move from one table to the other, and each table speaks different language. So the participants were excited about having done this, and the candidates are, unfortunately, I think not long after that, a pandemic happened or something like that, so we didn't get to do it again. That was the first time that we did it. You know, no individual is an absolute. We all have, as Councillor Pelletier said, environment is an issue. Housing is an issue. Public transportation is an issue. There are a lot of things that each of us have interest in. So we need to be creative. It's easier said than done. We need to be creative and make sure that we continuously have conversations about things that individuals are excited about. So the 80, you say 80-year-old or 18? 80. So for the 80-year-old, maybe she or him want to connect with other 80-year-olds, right? Because it can be, there's boredomness when you become, the older you get, the isolation gets bigger because your friends get tired, they don't want to go out. So there's always the need for older people to get involved. So maybe for that 80-year-old, and I'm self-serving here, I'm on the board of AARP, so you can connect with AARP and say, hey, what can we do with 80-year-old who is an immigrant? And actually, I would love to talk to you about that. And then we can organize something that will bring them out, and in that setting, right, you can talk about, you can find out what is it that they are interested in, and then you can continuously engage them. And for young people, I think in Portland, there is a lot of things that young people can get involved. What we don't do, those of us who work with young people, is that we don't connect with each other, all right? So we're all doing things in isolation. We need to connect with each other, collaborate with each other. Just like the way you collaborated to create this, there are many things that can be done, and then so that you have more things to be done continuously throughout the year.
In the arts, the famous Pihcintu Choir won the second Annual Anthem Award for being an outstanding and effective example of work by a global organization or program that raises awareness for a cause in the realms of education, art, and culture. You may have heard this choir in many fora, including the governor's inauguration. Did you know that the founder has a challenge of busing kids to concerts?
Well, that's obviously a challenge because I'm sort of a one-man band. I'm the guy who directs, I'm the guy who writes, I'm the guy who books, I drive the vans, I get the snacks. So that really has to change because one, I'm getting old, and two, I have a lot of projects that I need to get done in my life before I get hit by the bus. So that's one thing. We always have a problem with transportation. I never have enough. And if you gave me a full bus, I could fill it up tomorrow. You gave me two buses, I could fill them both up tomorrow. So that's forever and always the challenge. Another big challenge is communication. Some kids have phones, some kids don't. Some kids have Wi-Fi, some kids don't. Some kids have the phones, but they have no data. So when it comes to concerts and rehearsals, getting that word out is sometimes very hard. So I need to find a phone company that's willing to give me a bunch of burner phones so that we can have one place to go to get information out about everything.
But also coupled with the kids' daily schedule, is that easy as well?
Yeah. One thing I never do is say, if you play basketball, you can't be in a chorus because sometimes those things conflict. That's not who we are. That's not what I do. It is, however, often what the coaches do. So I sometimes have to work around schedules. I got 4 kids right now in track. And so I've got to work, special rehearsals for them because they're coming into the course fresh and new. So they got to learn stuff pretty quickly, but they have a lot of track practice. So we have to be pretty flexible.
A conference named Principle 6 Conference Reimagining Engagement is set to happen in Augusta on April 6, and the organizers see a strong interest and knowledge base from the immigrant community here in Maine. But what do they have in store for them? Listen to Amy Anderson.
Yes, so the way that we can support mostly is to offer these learning opportunities with interpretation of it. So last year we supported at the conference, I think it was around 15 individuals with 4 different languages. So we had live simultaneous interpretation for those groups that needed that. So that was one accessibility piece that we had worked hard on to put in place. And we're offering the same again this year. We offer childcare also on site for the conference, because that can be something that is a barrier for people to be able to come to these learning opportunities. We also make sure that there is quiet or prayer space available and a lactation. So, and last year and this year, those are pieces that we have really tried to put in place, as well as support with transportation to make it more safe and comfortable for people to travel. So that's what we have done directly. And then I do hear that there are a lot of different types of struggles for immigrant-led co-ops, and also that there is quite a bit of support. I know that the Cooperative Development Institute, which I'm also a part of, have staff dedicated to support groups specifically in the Lewiston, Auburn area with development and learning business and management skills and understanding financials.
And still on the cooperatives, Amjambo Time has spoken to Kathryn Piper, who and her husband ventured into starting a business model after experiencing a lack of cultural appropriate halal meat in Maine. Welcome, Kathryn.
I married my husband. We met in Saudi. I was working overseas, and we met overseas and got married. And the first summer that he came to the U.S. to meet my family, he saw how it was difficult to have access to halal meat. The halal meat that was available in the market wasn't the most appealing product, especially since where we lived in Saudi was the capital. So, there's 12 million to maybe at the time it was 10 million or 8 million, but millions of people in Riyadh. So what you have available to you is everything. And so coming to Maine, it's like coming to a food desert.
It was a total shift.
Yeah, we went from abundance of food in the desert to abundance of greenery with a food desert.
Wow.
Yeah, it was difficult for him to be able to really enjoy his experience in traveling. And then when we moved back, for me back and him immigration to the U.S. in 2016, that's when we decided to move forward with starting a halal meat business. Initially, it's going to be just distribution. We were going to develop relationships with farmers and also with the slaughter facility that existed at the time. They were just getting certified. They were just getting certified to do halal. They're no longer open. They closed down in 2018. But that's what sort of prompted us, and also the lack of meat. We were eating kosher hot dogs and fish for like 6 months when we first moved here. So it was, we came in September and we didn't have our first halal lamb until February of that year, I would say. It was tough, yeah. So that's how we started as distribution. And then that first winter in 2017, when we started, we saw that there was not enough livestock. So we, that spring, purchased a flock of sheep to substitute, to subsidize in the wintertime. But then the slaughter facility that we were working with closed down, and we no longer had access to a state or USDA slaughter facility. And that's when Hossam started doing slaughtering. So we had to shift our business goals from doing, retail sales to direct to customer sales with farm slaughter, which is what, I think has been going on in the state for 20 years, 30 years. And we really wanted to change that culture that's been developed here so that our community had, a higher quality product. And if they wanted that higher quality product, they didn't have to go into the middle of a field and slaughter the animal there. That we could go to the stores and get packaged meat off the shelf, just like everybody else, just like what we had when we lived overseas. And so that's when, we really started to think about opening up a facility, but they're expensive. And so it's taken time. And now, thank God we're in a position where we have the support and funding and financing to do this project.
Immigration update. The federal government will open a new immigration court in Massachusetts this April. Immigrants with Maine addresses who are currently docketed in the Boston Immigration Court will likely have their cases moved to the Royal Chelmsford Court. Some people have already received notices from the Boston Immigration Court resetting hearing dates. In many cases, these new hearings dates are earlier than the respondents' original hearing dates. Anyone in Maine with a case in the immigration court system should report all changes of address to the appropriate immigration court and ICE or PRA office, and regularly check the online immigration system to see what information they have about your future hearing. Look for the Maine Navigator section each month inside Amjambo Africa. It is full of tips about cultural adaptation, education, finance, health, jobs, money, and more. This guide appears in 7 languages. Pull the section out and keep it. You never know when the information inside will come in handy. In the entertainment, an annual fashion show highlighting African culture happens at Betts College, and our reporter Magadren Mai spoke to the organizer. Take a listen.
Pihcintu, I'm from Guinea. I'm a senior at Bates College and I'm the co-president of Africana. So we have an annual fashion show every year where we highlight African culture, and this year our theme is Kelele, which is a Swahili word for noise, and it's supposed to highlight the vibrant cultures of Africa. Wow. And we have many dances, many poets, many singers, even a fashion show at the end. Wow. So yeah, it's definitely worthwhile to watch.
Oh, okay, so you said this event takes place every year?
Yes, every year.
How has it been in the past years?
It has been honestly amazing every year. Like we get a really good crowd and we have different themes each year. So last year we had a wedding theme. So it was Ghanaian tradition, and we highlighted how Ghanaians do their traditional marriages.
Wow, yeah, I didn't quite understand what you said about the theme of today, which is
Kelele, which is a Swahili word for noise. I don't know if you know like Swahili, East African culture. They make the sound. So it's supposed to highlight. Yes, so it's supposed to highlight the vibrant cultures of Africa and like how we all interpret noise differently. And then that can be through cooking, through food, through fashion, through apartheid, like being liberated and stuff like that. So yeah.
Roughly how many African countries do you think participate in this event? Yeah.
So at Bates College, we have like a really high East African population. So, but part of the club and part of the e-board, we have Nigerians, Ghanaians, we have Somalians, we have Ethiopians, we have Egyptians, we have South Africans. It's all over. Yeah.
Wow, interesting. Yeah. And how do you think the students in the Bates community receive such events?
They learn a lot about different cultures. So like learning about Afro beats, or even I'm a piano, so like that's a new thing that's introduced to them that they never maybe heard before. And they take it like, they always enjoy the show because these are stuff they don't normally see on a regular day basis coming to a PWI. So having this time to highlight African culture, it's a good time for them to learn something about the continent.
Jaha Kuzimana, your host. We are at the end of today's show. Remember, the website amjamboafrica.com has a variety of great news, and you can pick up Amjambo Africa newspaper at stands like Hannaford, Burundi Cafe, the markets on Lisbon Street in Lewiston, Coffee by Design, and many more places. Together with the entire team of Amjambo Africa, we thank you. Bye.